You know what? A lot of people have been talking about how unfair the road tax structure is. At first, our road tax structure is very straightforward back then, right? We are taxed according to the displacement of our engines. If you drive a car that is 1.5 litre, you pay 90 ringgit. 2 litre, you pay 380 ringgit. And then 2.5, you pay 800 ringgit or 900 ringgit. And 3 litre, you pay about 2,100 ringgit. And it snowballs from there on, okay? And if you register under company, it's crazy. And you have stupid things like if you drive a very large SUV, you get discounts on your road tax. What logic is that, right? So let's say if you have a car that is a small size SUV and the engine is 3.5 litre, you have to pay full 3.5 litre road tax. But if your car is a huge SUV, you pay less. Alright, so our road tax structure is utterly screwed up. And then road tax structure was originally designed so that the rich people can contribute more to road tax than the poorer people. Okay, someone who pays 1.5 litre road tax is 20 over. Let's say someone who pays a road tax for 3 litre engine, you're paying practically 20 over years full of road tax. Right, your 1 year road tax equals to 20 plus year of road tax for a car that is 1.5 litre. So there is a lot of imbalance in this thing. There are a lot of people has been we're sort of used to it, but this thing blew up recently because of all these modern engines, you know, from premium car makers. You look at the Mercedes A45, a 2 litre engine, 380 ringgit road tax. The car is 400,000 ringgit. But they contribute 380 ringgit road tax. A Mazda CX5 for 2.5 litre engine, a car that is about 180,000 ringgit, the road tax is 800 ringgit or 900 ringgit, right? XC90, right? XC90, the new car price is 420,000 ringgit and 380 ringgit road tax, and this car is 2.0 tons. It's going to damage the road a lot more than a CX5, right? So I'm paying 380 ringgit road tax for this car. Is it fair? I don't think it's fair. I do not think it's fair. But what is fair, right? To ask someone to pay more from their pocket is, most people will be like, hey, no, I'm enjoying this because that's my choice. You could have, you know, some people would want to, everyone want to protect themselves first. But let's be clear, if we're talking about a policy for a country, let's put ourselves in the neutral position. Whether it benefits me or it benefits somebody else, we all have to start neutral. Then only we can have a good discussion. We have to think of everybody. That is the way to discuss anything in a logic manner. Okay, so you have cars like the BMW i8, right? 1.5 litre engine, but the car is 1.3 million ringgit. It's a supercar. So what is the fair value that that person should contribute, right? I mean, a lot of people say, hey, some people have the mindset of we want to penalize the rich, you know, just because they're rich they can afford one, right? So we must have something that is based on this thing in a fair manner. Our old system, yes, it sort of makes sense if you're talking about new cars, but what about used cars, right? Someone could have bought, someone who had a 4 litre Mercedes-Benz back then, right? 4 point something litre. But he's old already, he don't intend to sell that car, that he has no nostalgic values with that car. Maybe his wife has passed away, he's old now, he wanted to keep that car, keep the memories, but his car has a freaking V8 and he's old already, he's not as rich as he was back then. How do we take care of him? Do we ask him to throw away his Mercedes-Benz just to get a kanchil or whatever, just to pay less road tax? There must be a way to balance all this, right? So today is my message to Anthony Loke, alright, and that's my video and my proposal. Okay guys, this is a message this is the open message to our Transport Minister Anthony Loke. Okay, now there have been various arguments per se over the years about how archaic and old our road tax system is, right? A lot of people are saying things like, hey, last time, you know, rich people, when they buy cars that are 3 litre, 4 litre, 5 litres, they pay a lot more road tax, right? Because Put simply, everybody needs to pay road tax to contribute to the government, but if your car is smaller, means technically speaking you're buying a car that is relatively cheaper to purchase and to take care of the masses, the rich, or those who can afford, who wants to buy cars that are larger, more luxurious, more powerful, and they would pay more road tax to subsidize for the rest. Okay, say for example a car that is 3-litre engine, with a 3-litre engine with a road tax of 2,100 ringgit, you are practically paying the road tax, an annual road tax that is the equivalent of 30 years of road tax for someone who pay 70 ringgit a year. I'm serious, right? A 1.5 litre car is 90 ringgit, a 1.4 litre, I don't know, 60 or 70 ringgit. So someone who buys a 3-litre car actually is paying 30 years worth of road tax compared to a 1.4 litre every single year. But recently we have new cars. Look at the Mercedes C200 1.5 litre engine, and then you have the BMW i8, which is also a 1.5 litre engine. And how do we go about this? What if one day Rolls Royce launch an electric car, okay, with a 1 litre small litre engine as a generator, as a range extender, right? So how do we tax that that Rolls Royce? I mean, now Rolls Royce is 6.75 litre or 6 litre. Either way, it's about 18,000 ringgit. Or if you pay by company, it is 54,000 ringgit road tax every single year. I have a suggestion to Anthony Loke. Okay, let's change our road tax to follow our insurance cost. Basically, what I'm thinking is that if our road tax is based on 1% of the insurance value that we're paying, then I think that is fair. Now, for some who are currently paying 90 ringgit whole year, it may seem like a huge jump, right, at first. But you think about it, 90 ringgit for your road tax for an entire year, that could be even less than the administrative cost that costs the government, the people that they hire, right, to issue the paper for you, to deliver the paper for you, to keep hold of your records, and all you pay is 90 ringgit a year. So we all do think that our road tax structure ought to be changed in a way, right? Because 90 ringgit is what, I mean, if you drive a Honda City or a Vios, it is just one weekend of your meal with your loved ones, right? You go have a meal at TGIF or whatever. 90 ringgit is nothing. It's next to negligible, right? But it costs the government the paper, administration and all that. So 1% of insurance costs. Why? Because first of all, our insurance cost actually follows what the value of our car is, right? I mean, if you bought the car new, is 150,000 ringgit. By the time it's 5 years old, it could be 70,000 ringgit, right? Someone who bought the car off you at 70,000 ringgit will be paying a cheaper road tax. Same goes with old W126 Mercedes with a 2.8 litre engine, right? It's an old car, but sometimes some old people, they like it for nostalgic purposes. They buy the car. It's rarely used, it's old, they bought it maybe for 10k. Is it logical that they bought the car for 10k and then their road tax costs them about 1,800 ringgit every year, right? So yes, I know it's a double-edged thing, but the value is there, because if we all agree to this, think about it. You may be driving a Honda City now, and then you dream of owning a BMW M3. By the time the BMW M3 is already, let's say, 6-7 years old, it could be just 140,000 ringgit, and you could have bought it because your road tax will be 1,400 ringgit instead of 8,000 ringgit. You got me?